Hey, homeschool mama. If you want to learn how to deschool your homeschool, you have homework to do. I think that's hilarious. One homeschool mom to another giving you homework. Okay, so let's chat about deschooling for your homeschool life. Here is a story from my last fall. Despite being invited to a not back to school picnic last fall, it did not dawn on me that public school started on the same day because I'm just not accustomed to it. Summer activities still occupied my schedule. The first week of September, that's not school because the weather is still summery and it's lovely and the playground is quiet. That should have been my first hint. Since our family isn't bound by any provincial outcomes or guidelines or school schedules or curricula, I'm free to do what I want to do. And in the beginning, that felt scary, but now it just feels really empowering. We've learned to do what works in our homes. We follow our kids' interests and ours, and we allow for interruptions and changing rhythms of our family, all because we've deschooled. And so this wasn't always so. Even in the beginning, despite the guidelines and the curriculum expectations or the provincial expectations, I still thought like a schooled person. I brought my kids home and I brought them into my home, which I created a private school for. Because we do. This is what we do. This is what we know. So this is what we do. So here are 7 lessons I've learned to deschool in my homeschool. The first one is that our schedule is defined by our family's rhythms. For many years, autumn was our season to travel. I found it challenging to rein in energy before Christmas, so we didn't do a traditional learning approach in December, and I hear often people don't. Family birthdays are equivalent to a school holiday because we don't usually do anything on them. Since there's so much to do outside in May in my part of the world, we direct our energies towards botany or gardening, whatever you want to call it, but we do things outside. We learn about the weather, we watch birds, we do poetry by the pond, we just go outside. And if you want to determine your family's rhythm, I have a few things that you can check out or read. They are 4 posts, How to Homeschool Plan. Find fresh ideas, create renewed routines, and include kids in your homeschool. How to create a homeschool routine that works for you. Addressing the question of, are you homeschooling good enough? Especially when you're trying to deschool. Creating learning opportunities and recreating school subjects. Sometimes our homeschool moves in and out of different seasons, so how we homeschool changes. So I don't think deschooling is just for the new homeschool mama. I think it's for everyone, that periodically we need to check in and see if we could maybe free ourselves from a few more mindsets, school mindsets. Sometimes our homeschool moves in and out of different seasons. So I've provided 2 posts for you to read, one called 2 Seasons in Our Homeschool, the formal studies and the unschooling season. And also I share my story about the surprising transition from school to homeschool. Whatever season of homeschool that you're in, you can build on and lean in to more homeschool freedoms when you deschool. The second thing that I want to share with you, or a lesson that I've learned as I've deschooled my homeschool, is that our world is filled with printed books, with sales for books everywhere. There's textbooks and workbooks and novels and bookstores and homeschool mom blogs, Facebook threads, curriculum fairs, and website. They all abound. So I've got 3 ideas or suggestions for you as you're deschooling and getting excited about purchasing curriculum. These are my encouragements to you. One is don't overbuy, although you probably will, but don't overbuy. That's what I would say. Don't overbuy. During your first year of homeschooling, I definitely overbought, assuming that we were going to cover way more than we could. Every year in the last decade and a half, I've bought less and less, sometimes relying on the previous year's curriculum or purchases, and sometimes I just heavily relied on my library cards, which are an incredible resource for everyone. The second thing that I would suggest to you is that kids should influence your choice of homeschool curriculum. I have even heard my kids comment on curriculum like, I don't want to get a curriculum that I don't want to use. And girlfriend, neither do you, because they're going to complain and they're going to be resistant to whatever you're putting in front of them. So even if at the beginning of the year they have a general anticipation or excitement about what you're doing, because nobody holds on to that excitement throughout the entire year. But if you can at least in the beginning of the year be excited about the curriculum and your child is too, then that might be the right curriculum choice for you. I'm often asked about our less than conventional approach, and if we're not following public educational outcomes, where do we find curriculum? And I share a few posts when you buy new homeschool curriculum, 5 clever suggestions, choosing the right homeschool curriculum, and what to ask yourself before you choose the best curriculum for your homeschool so that you can get clarity on that. When your kids are engaged in their educational choices, they're more engaged in their learning. The third thing that I would share with you is that every year is a lesson in learning for my kids and for me. Who are we educating? Our specific children. So if we're educating those specific kids, then we should allow for that child to lead the learning. And they are going to lead a learning, but they're also going to continue to develop, and that means they're going to change or they're going to shift, and you're going to see different things at different times, at different stages. So you want to accommodate for that. Our kids are our point of reference for what curriculum we choose, or how we assign our time, or whether we assign their time at all. Learning, their focus of learning should be more child-led. Not every resource we think we'll use is quite what we thought. There are some wasted resources for sure. Just imagine if you have a few children, you'll identify that maybe one child actually likes reading history independently. One child likes colored worksheets, or they like doing math workbooks. Maybe one child really prefers kinesthetic activities, things where they can touch with their hands, like using wiki sticks, or learning how to spell with wiki sticks, creating letters out of wiki sticks. Maybe another child really loves doing chemistry experiments. A National Geographic chemistry set was purchased for 3 of my 4 kids. They love doing those. There were many actually science boxes that the kids have used over the years. We've used Apologia and Brave Writer online courses. One of my teens used college classes. And, learning should be child-led. That means you're going to be watching them each year. What do they need now? Every child is different, and every year is different. The fourth thing that I can share with you is that I spend my time differently as a homeschool mom, and I spend my money differently as a homeschool mom. When I think back to my school experience, like my conventional school experience, I remember grade 1 and having an option to go to the Zellers and purchasing a few outfits for the first day of grade 1. I was so excited, but I was told I can't wear that outfit until the first day of grade 1. So I remember tucking my new outfits, probably 3, into a bunk bed drawer that I wasn't allowed to touch. I had a blue plaid 2-button shirt, which I think I still have somewhere. We visited the Zellers for our grade-specific supply list, maybe another box of non-broken crayons and a package of smelly markers. Now that I'm a mom who has collected probably 652 broken crayons, and I'm not actually kidding, should we compare? I'm sure you do too. And purchase oodles of white erasers that, by the way, you know where they are, in the sofa cushions. And I know that there's only probably 8 Crayola markers that are actually working right now, but possibly 67 barely sharpened pencil crayons. I know that I no longer have to do that official supply trip. So at the end of each year, you can just take a look and see if you actually need the supplies or if you're just doing it because it's a habit. I've learned to spend differently, so I just haven't bought those things all year long. I buy what I need. Like I purchase kids' clothing based on what they need, not on the seasonal shifts always. and not on the latest style, for sure. Obviously, I don't need to buy indoor shoes, though every Christmas I do provide fluffy socks. I try not to buy it all, but I do, and it entirely depends on the tangible need in front of me, but I most certainly buy differently. And the fifth thing I would share is ask yourself what you believe in education to be anyway. If I thought of education as solely an in-classroom, textbook-driven, test-proven, teacher-taught education, then I would put my kids in school. I would follow the system, its schedule, and its curriculum. And education includes academics, of course, at least that's how I see it. Sometimes you learn things, you have knowledge bits that you're accruing, maybe not conventional things, but you're learning all sorts of things. So you have knowledge bits, but the sky's the limit to what you could know or what you could learn. Google's called Google for a reason, and it contains more knowledge than most knowledgeable human beings might embody. Is our goal for education then to enable another Google, a Google in a human form? Our family might not be going to school, but we are still learning. I believe in education as learning to live this life well, to engage in meaningful work, to nurture our community, and fully engage our life. The sixth thing I want to share with you in How to Deschool 101 is that every year we've enjoyed our homespun version of a not back to school party. We plan our daily schedules with rainbow colored pens, bright colored markers. We take grade photos, lovely memories, and discuss our academic plans. And sometimes for the older kids, even get planners or schedules and all the things. And each kid gets a box of Smarties at the bottom of their new book stack because they're about to get smarter. Or so I think. They like the Smarties, and if they don't, I do. You can find more not back to school party ideas in the link here. But remember that, as John Taylor Gatto says, there isn't a right way to become educated. There are as many ways as there are fingerprints. And the seventh and last thing that I want to share about deschooling in your home is that life is learning. In the meantime, when we're not doing formal routines, formal academic stuff, we have Legos to play with, and dogs to walk, and chickens to corral, at least here, trampolines to bounce on, a garden bounty to process, and more late evenings, because you can do late evenings if you're not in school. There are 1,000,001 things we're going to learn from the moment we're born to the moment we die. We'll have fewer than 1,000,000, but still many iterations of what we actually do in this life. We might work at various places like a fast food restaurant, a grocery store and the bakery, a real estate office as the receptionist, a billing clerk at a doctor's office, a unit clerk in the labor and delivery at the local hospital, a registered nurse in the perinatal float pool, a new mom with 2 little girls, a homeschool mom of 4 kids, a writer, a host of a podcast, and a life coach for moms. All my iterations of what I've done for work. Throughout each of those roles, I've learned 1,000,001 things. I continue to learn too. So homeschool mama, you have your homework. You can deschool your homeschool. You can reimagine your homeschool life, or you can just release from all the schooled notions and perspectives before you even start your homeschool. Use the Deschool Your Homeschool Journaling Workbook below as a self-coaching tool so you can reimagine your homeschool life.